Do record here. So you guys, welcome to our special guest this evening with Jake Dempsey. He is the co-founder and CEO of Project Broadcast. And I had the pleasure of meeting Jake about a month ago when I was one of the guest speakers at the Gold Digger Conference with Kimberly Olson. And I have been using Project Broadcast. It's probably been, I don't know, five months or so. And I love the diversity of what you can do with Project Broadcast. So getting to run into Jake to even talk a little bit about some different ideas and concepts was just fabulous. And I knew we had to have him on as a guest speaker. And so I'm really, really excited that he's here to spend some time with you guys to share some of those things with you, but also for the upcoming holiday season that we have and how we can capitalize on our customer base and serving our customers, the best that we possibly can. And so I'm going to turn over to Jake and let him share a little of his story of how Project Broadcast came to be, and then jump into what he has presented for you guys and ready for you guys tonight to talk a little bit about the capacity of Project Broadcast and how it can serve you. So you guys, please give Jake a very warm welcome and I'm going to continue to try to get us streaming into the group. And without further ado, Jake, go ahead and take it away.
Hey guys. So I'll start with kind of where Project Broadcast came from. Katie had asked for that, but I started actually myself and my business partner, Brian Orr, actually launched PB in 2017. We started building it in late 2016, early 2017, out of really a need of our wives. Both of our wives were looking for ways to communicate with their customer base and their team. Brian's wife is actually in a direct sales company. My wife is in a network marketing company, both different companies. And we've been building software together for, over 20 years now. We've actually literally worked together at every single company for 20 plus years. Started our company Starter Step about 12 years ago, 11, 12 years ago. And we used to do primarily boutique mobile app development for big brands. And then we actually built a product for the network marketing space and ended up selling that product a number of years later to the network marketing company. But when we saw that they had this need for reaching out to their customers and team, primarily via texting, we kind of looked at what was available in the market, and most of it wasn't great. And it was really expensive. And, the one thing I know about network marketing and direct sales is that it kind of doesn't matter if you find a tool as a leader that works, if you can't actually duplicate it into the organization. So cost was, always a really big component to us building a platform like Project Broadcast. At the time, I think the closest product was around $100 a month. And again, for a big leader, that's not a big deal. You can easily afford that. It doesn't create any headache in your budget. But if you're a new consultant, a new builder, $100 is a big ask. So, we launched in 2017 and we now support 30-ish thousand network marketing direct sales professionals across 60 plus different companies. And, we'll dig into specifically what you do with Project Broadcast. But, I like to tell that story primarily so people know that I'm not just a software guy that built software that I'm trying to, sell to people in network marketing direct sales. We built the platform primarily focused on serving this industry. We do serve other industries, and we have a bunch of churches and schools and nonprofits that use Project Broadcast, but it was really born out of a need for network marketing direct sales as a profession. And that's where we spend most of our time actually driving additional value. So that's where it came from. But let's talk about what it is. So Project Broadcast is a text marketing platform. I'll say today, it's changing a bit. We're adding more features to expand the capability. But the idea is that you use Project Broadcast to scale and automate things like customer follow-up and prospecting. And we'll dig into specifics of that. But for people who don't know, we're going to talk a little bit about like what text marketing even is, because some people just may not know what that means, and why we think texting as a channel is actually a real popular channel to use. Text marketing, I guess I say some people don't know what it is. I think that's becoming more. 5 years ago, maybe a lot less people knew, but now it's pretty common for you to go into a restaurant and, get on like a coupon list, or when you go to get a table at a restaurant and they get your number to text you when your table's ready. That's all like forms of text marketing. Now, most of the time, those types of messages don't come from real phone numbers. They come from like they're called short codes, little 5-digit numbers, right? And our brain tells us that's spam. That's not a person sending those messages. Like I still get messages from Chili's. I literally use this example because people laugh, and it's true. I get messages from Chili's all the time, and it'll be like $1 off fried pickles. And I know there's not a guy that works at Chili's that is texting $1 off fried pickles message to Jake on a Thursday night. That guy doesn't exist. There's just a system doing it. And it comes from this little short phone number. So it's not like I can respond and be like, oh my God, I'm ready for some fried pickles, right? That doesn't exist. In Project Broadcast, we don't use short codes. We actually believe that as just regular people, we know that messages that come from toll-free numbers, that come from short codes, are typically not from a person. They're typically from a system. So when you sign up for Project Broadcast, you pick a state or province that you live in if you're in Canada, and you'll get presented with phone numbers in every area code that we can find numbers for in that state or province. And you pick one. And that becomes your Project Broadcast phone number. You can send and receive text messages using that phone number through the Project Broadcast mobile app or through our website. And you can even make and receive phone calls using that Project Broadcast phone number. It really gives you like an intentional business phone number to then go work the business and not drive it all through your personal phone number. So the start of it is you get a phone number. Phone number lets you send and receive text, make and receive phone calls, right? But why texting? Like, why not email, or why not a Facebook Messenger bot, right? Why do we use texting? And the way I explain this is to literally take Project Broadcast out of the equation. So if you're on your computer and you have your phone, I'm curious if you'll do this. I want you to get your phone out. And on your phone, there's a bunch of apps. You got email, voicemail, text messaging, Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, Telegram, Signal, whatever, right? In all of those apps, there's a badge, right? And the badge represents the number of unread messages. So do me a favor. I want someone to put in the chat what their current badge is on their email. So this can vary from a couple hundred to a couple thousand to a couple 100,000. I literally had to write a program a few years ago for my wife because her Gmail was up to over 500,000 unread emails, and it was breaking every time we try to delete them all. Heather is the current winner. 62,000, 19,000, 56,000. Okay. So now I want you to look at your phone. Oh, Christina's like me. I'm a zero inbox person. I can't help it. I have to my business partner picks on me all the time because Gmail, you don't have to delete email, but I can't stand even having emails in my inbox. I got to read it, and then I got to label it, and then I got to archive it to get out of my way. All right. Now I want you to look at your voicemail app. Okay. What's your badge on your voicemail? Do you have any voicemails you haven't listened to? If people still send voicemails. So not zero, a few zeros. What's your badge? 300. You have 300 unread unlistened voicemails? Wow. Okay, Heather, I'm nervous about asking this. I hope I haven't set myself up here. What is the badge on your texting app? Just the app that you do your normal texting through on your phone. What's that badge at? Katie, you have 600 unread text messages. That's high. 171. Where's Heather? I'm waiting. Where is it? Oh, 319. More zeros. So what I typically explain to people, some of y'all need to check your text messages, is that if you look at something like email, where you've got tens of thousands of unread emails, and you compare that to your text messaging, which is certainly lower than, I think the highest we saw was 62,000. It just shows as like normal people, we read our text messages. And actually, if you look at even your Facebook Messenger, I bet your badge on Facebook Messenger is higher than even your texting. And again, it just shows us that like regular people, everyday lives, we read text messages and we respond to text messages. And I think it's primarily because texting is very low friction. You know that when you get a text message, it's not going to be very long. You know that you can respond with a thumbs up, a heart, an LOL, right? I've been using email for, I guess, 35 years now. And I've, never once responded to an email with a LOL or a thumbs up emoji, right? I know that It's going to be longer. I got to read it. I got to sit down and use proper grammar and punctuation and like periods and commas, right? That's friction. It, whether you like admit it or not, it's friction. That's communication friction. But if I get a text message, it's perfectly acceptable for me to respond literally with a thumbs up. And it's an acceptable form of response, which makes the friction very low. And the phones now are so good that you get a text message, I can literally look at my phone, it unlocks, and sometimes read the message and never touch the phone. You just can't do that with email, right? Or some of these other communication channels. So it's why we think texting is a channel, and there's numbers that support this, but sometimes numbers are boring, right? The numbers are, email, for example, has a 20% open rate, meaning 20% of the people that you send a message to will open it. And the read rate, because a lot of people open emails and don't read them, I'm guilty of that myself, depending on industry, is in the single digits as high as about 15%. So let's be conservative and say 15%. Like, let's give it the best chance possible. You send 100 emails, 15 get read. Most carriers produce data on text messages that say that text messages are read at a 98% read rate. And depending on the data, 90, 92, 94, it's low 90s, low 90% are read in the first 2 minutes of delivery. So just use basic math. You send 100 emails, 15 get read. You send 100 text messages, 98 get read, and 90 something of those get read within the first 2 or 3 minutes. So as a way to engage with people, a lot higher readability, a lot more opportunity to have people to engage because the friction is low. It's why we're big fans of texting when done properly, right? We've all gotten, I will say, bad texts. The trick in Project Broadcast is using Project Broadcast for building a relationship. In our industry specifically, if you use Project Broadcast and all you do is send out promos, incentives, coupons, you're doing it wrong. Like, your engagement will tank eventually. And it's primarily because, like, I live in Texas. Anyone in Texas on here? Is anyone in Texas? No Texans? Lord, where are y'all from? I need to know now. Where's everybody from? Where are the non-text reading, non-email? Heather, where are you from? Colorado, New York. All right. Arkansas. You may get these where you're at. I don't know. In Texas, we get this envelope in the mail a few times a year, and it's a real thick envelope, and it's full of coupons, and it's called a Val Pack. Do y'all get those where you're from? Do you know what those are? Okay. So here's my, belief system on the entire planet. There's only 2 types of people in the whole world. They're the type of people that get the Val Pack in the mail, and they thumb through it about 10 seconds, and they immediately throw it in the trash. That's one type of person. And then the other type of person is the person who gets it in the mail, and then they just immediately throw it in the trash. They don't open it. And I started out as I'll thumb through it about 10 or 15 seconds and then throw it in the trash. And now I'm going to throw it right in the trash. And I used that point to show you that, let's pretend I'm Katie's customer. And I open my conversation with Katie, and I don't care what platform it's on, text, Facebook, whatever, it doesn't matter. I open my conversation with Katie, and all I see are messages from Katie about sale, promo, coupon, BOGO, flash sale. What is Katie to me? She's a Val Pack, right? And I didn't make the decision, by the way. Katie trained me that when she messages me, it will only be about some type of sale thing. And as soon as I get a message from Katie, I won't even read it first. At first, my brain will say, are you in a buying mood? And if you're not in a buying mood, there's no reason to even read Katie's message. Again, regardless of platform, there's no need to read Katie's message because you know that the message is related to a sale, and you're not in a buying mood. Don't read the message. So, I'm not a marketing genius by any stretch, but I would bet that high on the, list of things that should happen in marketing is that people see your content and read it. So if you think about like network marketing, direct sales as a business, my belief is that the business flows out of relationship, right? Not the other way around. It's not that you get business and then you get relationship. Usually you get relationship, and from that comes business. And if you believe that, like I do, it means that most of your energy should be in figuring out how to build, foster, and scale relationships. And building and fostering and scaling relationships is nothing to do with asking someone about a sale, a coupon, a BOGO, an incentive, or whatever, right? So I'm kind of prepping this for my next thing, because a lot of people are like, what the heck am I going to use this for then if I'm not sending out like promos? Well, this is where you have to really sit and think about the business. I believe in this concept called opportunity lists, and you're welcome to steal it. I stole it from someone, I'm sure, as well. An opportunity list is a low friction reason to reach out to people. And low friction here is important. And low friction means opportunity for a negative response. And the reason I'm so big on this idea of opportunity list is because it works well for new consultants. It's easy to teach. What typically happens in a business, really any business, is that when you get a negative response from a customer, it causes you to kind of step back from the business. Your feelings get a little hurt, and it takes time really for you to recover from that negative response. Now, as you get more confident and more mature in the business, that response time gets faster and faster to the point that, it just kind of rolls off your back. But in the beginning, that negative response actually impacts you from a time perspective. So if you think about the business in terms of opportunity lists, you want to sit and think about, how do I drive value to people and connect with people where the risk for negative response is low? That's what you start with. You mature beyond that. That's what you start with. So let's think about, like, in a business, what that would be. So like today, what are you doing? Or I always like to say, like, are you doing really customer follow-up, like true customer follow-up? Like, do you send a message to every single customer when they place an order, thanking them for the order, and send them a message 2 weeks later, and then 2 months later, and then 6 months later, or whatever that cadence is for you, and no one ever falls through the cracks? You've never missed a date. You get everyone on the exact date they're supposed to get their follow-up. For most people, the answer is no, they don't do that. Well, with Project Broadcast, you could easily set that up. You could set up what we call a campaign, a drip style campaign. And let's use a 2-2-2 example, 2 day, 2 week, 2 months, just as an example. You can create a campaign in Project Broadcast that has 3 messages, one at 2 days, one at 2 weeks, and one at 2 months. I'm assuming the first one's going to kind of thank them for their order, ask if they have any questions. Maybe the second message is following up. Did they get their order? Maybe the third one is, how'd you like your order? Depending on the business, that cadence is different. But anytime a customer places an order, all you have to do in Project Broadcast is add them to that campaign, and it will schedule all those messages for customer follow-up. Now, you're responsible for writing good, engaging, content that the customer gets, and the system does the scheduling for you. So customer follow-up's one. What about, and think of what I'm thinking about saying too, low friction. Is a customer going to get mad that just bought from you that you say thank you for them placing an order? Pretty low friction, right? What about when a new consultant joins your team? Do you have in place today like a real solid new consultant onboarding system? And maybe that's a 30-day, a 60-day, a 90-day onboarding system where a new consultant joins, they get added to a campaign. Maybe once a day or a few times a week, they get a message for the first 30, 60, 90 days of their journey in the business, where you're teaching them about comp plan, products, back office, how to effectively market, maybe even giving them Project Broadcast content. You can easily do that in Project Broadcast. Again, it's super low friction. New consultant joins your team, and you say, hey, I want to help you through the next 90 days of you jumpstarting your business. Is it cool if I add you to this, onboarding system? They're not going to say no. Like, why would they say no? They just decided to do business. What about simple, even gratitude messages? Super low friction. When's the last time you sent a message to just good customers and said, thank you so much for being a customer. Hope you're having a blessed day? Or what about the anniversary of when someone bought for the first time? Also can do that easily in Project Broadcast. So think about, like, in Project Broadcast, we have a field called anniversary. And typically it's used by, when you import your contacts, they'll put the sign up date of the person in your team or downline into that field. And then they'll use our anniversary campaign to send a message each year on that date. So I would typically have 2 campaigns, one for customers and one for team. I'm a big believer in that team should get your time. Customers may get an offer. So like if I'm sending a message to a team member about being on the team for, it's been another year and they've been on the team, I'm going to offer my time. Hey, I'd love to chat about what your goals are for the next year. When's a good time to have a conversation, right? I'm offering my time as a gift. Same with birthday. You can do birthday messages in Project Broadcast. I would do 2 different birthday campaigns, one for customer. That one may be promotional in nature. Hey, it's your birthday. Here's $5 off or free shipping or whatever. Team, hey, it's your birthday. I'm so excited. Let's chat soon about your goals for the next year, right? Gift is time. What about, I like, this is a good one. So I like mining for thinking about mining in my NING, like gold mining for leaders. So one of the things we always teach and we talk about in direct sales and network marketing is you should run with the runners, right? Well, how the heck do you find them? Like, are you like calling everybody and saying, hey, are you a runner? I'm looking for runners. No, you need to figure out a way to like get at that information. So one of the things that I like seeing people do is they'll run reports where they'll say, I want a list of all of the consultants in my team who enrolled their first consultant this month. So those are people who decided to do the business. And then this month, they enrolled the first person in their team, whether it be customer or consultant, depending on how you want to do it. That's a great opportunity list because that is a list of people you can message and say, I'm so excited. I saw you shared for the first time. I'd love to chat with you and see what your goals are in the business for the next year and how I can help you succeed them. And there'd be people you don't even know who they are because they're just people in your team that, hit these certain milestones that you think probably are going to end up being runners. Because I'm pretty sure if they're not getting customers or consultants, they're not runners. So think of ways to identify runners in the organization and you can use Project Broadcast to reach out to them. So these are what I'm talking about now are like what I would consider kind of actions in the business that can drive messaging. Customer places an order, consultant joins the team. Maybe, do you guys have the concept of what are the company inactive, like where a person can go inactive? And now that happens differently for every company. And some companies you go inactive and convert to a customer, and some companies you go inactive and fall out of the organization. So how does it work in y'all's company? So when someone goes inactive, what actually happens, like at the business level?
So they actually could just stay in our back office. That's a process that we're working through right now, but it's unless they email in to actually quit and remove themselves out, they still show up in your back office as an inactive person after a certain period of time. They'll just stay there until they are physically taken out.
Is there a business strategy in general in the business of kind of reactivating those inactives?
Yeah. So there was an email campaign that was put together to kind of help to revamp that. Hey, by the way, you're inactive. It's been this long. You need to place an order of this amount in order to get back to your active status.
So that comes from corporate?
Yeah.
Yeah, which doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's coming from corporate. But that was to kind of help to reignite some of them if they wanted to stay in, if they didn't want to stay in, kind of like what was the next steps. And then they've recently changed the guidelines to where it's kind of up at corporate's discretion. If they're still going to pay the website fee, even as an inactive rep, then they have the opportunity to come in at some point in time to come back into their business if they so chose. That's kind of where it sits right now.
Another great opportunity list, though. If you wanted to work on reactivating inactives, you could absolutely do that in Project Broadcast. So at the core Project Broadcast, you have contacts. You get contacts into Project Broadcast by importing them. You export them from your back office, you import them into Project Broadcast. And then once you have contacts, there's all these different ways you can message them. We have the concept of what's called a scheduled broadcast. That just means I want to schedule a message to a bunch of people. The use case for that is like, I want a VIP club. I'm just making this up, so just go with me. I want a VIP club. So I'm going to tell everyone on my social platforms, hey, if you want to be part of my VIP club, text me the word VIP. When they text me the word VIP, they get tagged in Project Broadcast as being a VIP. And now I can easily go schedule a broadcast and add everyone from the VIP tag, write a message and send it, and take a few minutes at most to do that. And I can have a single message go out to a bunch of people really easily. That's a scheduled broadcast. Then we have the concept of campaigns. Now, campaigns, most marketing platforms support a drip style campaign. That's just a type of campaign. It's where you add someone to the campaign and it schedules messages, days, hours, whatever, after you add them. Of course, we obviously have that campaign type. It's very useful for customer follow-up. It's also useful for prospecting leads. We have a feature on campaigns called remove on reply, for example. Let's say you do some type of lead gen and you get a bunch of people to text you at a vendor event or whatever, and you want them added to a campaign. But if they ever respond, you don't want them to keep getting messages from that campaign because the campaign's really kind of saying, hey, you still wanted to talk. So there's even a feature to take them out of the campaign once they do reply. But outside of the drip style campaign, we support 6 others. We have a time-lapse campaign, heavily used in doing kind of short text-based education or text parties. So you can literally create, like a, guys, give me one second. My poor puppy is, she's whining. Give me a quick second. Sorry. She's part beagle, so she's like super vocal. So we have time-lapse campaigns that are really used right now for text parties. And a text party just means like you may have, well, even today, I'm sure you take pictures of yourself and the product, put it on social media, talk about the company. Like this is part of the business building, right? Well, what if you had the same process, but maybe you actually say in the message or in the comment or in the picture itself, if you want to learn more, text this word, we call those keywords, to this phone number. We'll say the words party. I'm just making this up. So text party to, here's my PB number, right? You can configure Project Broadcast that when someone texts the word party, it literally adds them to a campaign automatically. And that campaign could be a time-lapse campaign where they get a message maybe once every 5 minutes for 30 minutes or something. So they get 6 messages. But those messages would talk to them about the product, maybe show before and after, maybe talk about how awesome, the materials are. And then ultimately, have a message that drives them to make a buying decision through a link or maybe to set up a call with you. And the cool thing about using Project Broadcast in that way, which I would consider prospecting, is it's evergreen. So let's pretend you did like an Insta reel and then you save that as a highlight on Insta, and someone goes and looks at your highlights, and in your highlight it says text party to that phone number. Well, if they text it today, they're going to get added to the campaign, and for the next 30 minutes they're going to get 6 messages. And 3 months from now, when someone clicks on that highlight and sees it and texts you the word party, well, guess what? They're going to get 6 messages for the next 30 minutes. So you're creating like this evergreen marketing content that can be actually working for you outside of just you doing all the heavy lifting. So that's a time-lapse campaign. Then we have a countdown campaign. Countdown campaigns are used, they're kind of primarily used for party-based businesses that want to do host coaching. So they're going to have an event, whatever, November the 15th, and they want, a message to go out a day before, a week before, 2 weeks before. Then they add the host to the campaign and and it schedules those messages before that date, that party date. That's the primary use I've seen for countdown. We also have repeating. So if you wanted like a weekly reminder message to go out to a list of people, or maybe a monthly reminder to go out to team members about a call or about wrapping up the month, that's our repeating. And then we have birthday, which we've talked about, that when you add birthday data on your contacts, you can add them to a birthday campaign and it sends a message to them once a year on their birthday. Same with anniversary. Anniversary is used for typically sign up date, where you put sign up date into that field, and then you schedule like an anniversary message of them either being a customer or being in the business. So those are campaigns. There's 7 different types. I'm sure I missed one. Oh, calendar. Calendar campaign is when you know the specific date and times of messages. So that might be useful if, let's say you want to create a incentive trip campaign for people in your team. And let's say there's very specific dates in order to qualify for the incentive trip that you want to make sure people are aware of. You might create like an incentive trip campaign, and let's say November the 15th is the last day to get qualified, whatever. So you may schedule a message specifically for November 7th because you want to let them know that, hey, you only got a week left, right? So that's when you know specific date and time, and you want to put a bunch of those specific date time message together and add people to it. That's called a calendar campaign. We also have keywords. I've talked a little bit about keywords. Keywords, how you automate in Project Broadcast. So you may want a keyword for VIP, and literally that just lets people text you the word VIP. It tags them as VIP, and it responds with, thanks so much for joining my VIP club. You'll be the first to know when anything happens, whatever. But you can use keywords for, adding people to campaigns or moving them from campaigns, just tagging them, meaning putting them in groups. We also have templates. That's where you can create reusable messages. So let's say you do have like a monthly promo and you get asked 50 gajillion times what the promo is. You could create a template for the promo. That way, if someone ever asks you what the promo is, you just send them the template so that you don't have to retype that every single time. And there's really kind of deep features in Project Broadcast, like our landing pages feature. It's actually a really popular feature. Landing pages are like little mini websites. So in Project Broadcast, you can create as many landing pages as you want. We have a little drag and drop editor to kind of design the page for you. And we give you, I think there's 20 or 30 templates that you can start with, but you can start from scratch if you want. But they're used like really heavily right now. We rolled them out about a year ago. And it's funny because they didn't take off immediately, because I don't think they were trying to figure out what to do with them. And then once people got an idea of how to use them and that it's really not hard to build, all kinds of ideas came out of the woodwork. So doing like a monthly newsletter, you could do that with a landing page. Doing even before and after galleries of product use, you can build landing pages for that. Doing like my favorite things kind of landing page, where it's just the products that you love that someone can click on in a message and get more info on. People are doing this thing called scroll parties, which is actually really cool. So we talked about text parties, right? Where you use a time-lapse campaign, you send a message, again, maybe every 5 minutes or so. So they're getting a text every 5 minutes. Well, some people came up with this idea of doing scroll parties, which I think is actually really cool. They create a very long landing page so that when someone texts the word party, they respond with, a piece of message and then a link, and that link is to a landing page. And it's a really long website. So it talks about it has like an intro of who they are, and then talks about what they're going to learn, and then showcases the products and has videos in it, or whatever. And then as you keep scrolling, you get to the bottom, it shows you how you can go make a purchase, which has been really actually pretty popular use case that, again, we never thought of, but it's pretty cool. We have a contest feature. So if you like creating contests for your customers or teams and then picking a winner, and today you're doing that by hand, you can do that in Project Broadcast. In fact, we have this whole workflow. I don't know if do you guys ever do vendor events? Is that part of the business model at all? Okay, let me paint a vendor event example for you. So today you set up a table. You typically put some piece of paper and a clipboard and a pen out there to collect names and phone numbers. And usually you have some kind of raffle or giveaway for someone to come to the table and give you their name and number, right? And then you finish the hard work of doing the vendor event and hate yourself because you have to go home and try to figure out how to read everyone's crappy handwriting on that clipboard. Right? All right, so here's what you can do in Project Broadcast. Imagine this. At the table, you just have a sign. And the sign says, text raffle, and gives a phone number, your Project Broadcast phone number. Raffle is a keyword. So the raffle keyword would respond and say, hey there, thanks so much for wanting to learn more about, Zia. And if you want to join our raffle, here's a link to the form. They click the link. That uses a feature that we have called configurable forms. And a configurable form lets you collect like first name, last name, whatever else. When they fill out the form is set up to trigger another keyword called raffle done. And the raffle done keyword just sends a message that says, thanks so much for filling out the form. We're going to pick a winner at 3. I'll let you know if you win, whatever, right? So you're there doing the vendor event, and people are texting and getting the link, filling out the form, and getting a message from you thanking them for filling out the form. You finish the vendor event, you go home, there's 0 clipboard to deal with, 0 names and numbers. You have 2 lists of people. You have the list of people that texted in the word raffle, and then you have the list of people that actually filled out the form called raffle done. You create a contest in Project Broadcast, add everyone from the raffle done keyword, and pick a winner. And there you have your winner. So you're done. And all your leads are now in your marketing system. So now I'm going to add all of my raffle and raffle done people to some type of campaign to follow up with them to try to either schedule a call or, have them learn more about the product or whatever I want to do to kind of engage that list of leads. And you never had to deal with reading names, putting them in Excel, uploading them to random.org, picking a winner, all that kind of goes away. And then when you get really advanced, your thing at the table, it doesn't even say text raffle anymore. It's a QR code. You can make it when someone scans a QR code, it opens up the texting app on their phone, puts the word raffle, puts your phone number in the 2, and all they do is click send. So, your amount of work for kind of executing on a vendor event goes down drastically. And the ability to then leverage all those leads effectively is also really cool. Because the great thing about using PB for vendor events is that when they text you the word raffle, right, they immediately get a text message from you saying, thanks for wanting to participate. Here's the link to the form, right? And then if they fill out the form, they then get a thank you from you. So later, when you add them to like your lead follow-up system, they're much warmer as a lead because you've literally had back and forth communication with their phone number versus when they write their name and phone number on a clipboard and you go home and put that into Excel or wherever you want to put it and then try to reach out to them. That is a cold reach out because you've had no actual interaction with that person other than them, putting their name and number on the clipboard is very separated from your later follow-up versus when you use PB, they're already in a warm state because you've already had conversation with them via Project Broadcast. So lots you can do with vendor events. Now, training, I bring this up a lot because if you're glazed over already, I apologize. I'm excited. I love Project Broadcast, obviously. And Project Broadcast does a ton of things. There's a ton of stuff we haven't even talked about. So it's a very robust platform, but we have a mountain of training available. We have an entire training website, training.projectbroadcast.com. And you can create a training account there for free. We don't charge for it. It's a separate login because it's a separate training system. But when you sign up for Project Broadcast, we encourage you to do the quick start. The quick start teaches you how to set your broadcast hours, how to import contacts, how to schedule a broadcast, and how to use chat. And if you only knew those features, you could get a ton of value out of PB. You actually don't have to have campaigns and keywords and landing pages and configurable forms and trackable links. You don't need all of that. You can do it, but you don't need all of that day one to get value. Quick start's going to take you 30 minutes or less probably to do. And we actually give you credits. In Project Broadcast, when you send a message, it's a credit. And we pay you to do training. When you go get training, we pay you in credits to complete the training because we know it's going to help you in Project Broadcast. And there's, 13 pages of different little trainings. The trainings are like two areas. The first area is very feature-based, meaning like, what is a dynamic field? What's a trackable link? Like training like that. We have training like that. But then we also have very business-focused training like the vendor event example. I think we actually have a specific training on how to crush vendor events that goes over all the stuff I just talked about, keyword, configurable form, another keyword, contest, QR code, all of that strategy. We actually have in a training. And there's other trainings like that you can leverage, more like business focused things that are going to use a bunch of features together. But quick start's the first place to start. You don't need to know everything. We also have a training that it's called High Impact Communication, I believe is the name of the training. So if you're struggling to figure out what to do first, because you're like, oh my God, yeah, I need follow up. Oh man, I could do prospecting. I don't even have a consultant onboarding system. I got a vendor event next week. And you're trying to figure out how you're going to get all this done. Well, you're not. So, what's the one thing you can go do to drive value to the business? And if you're struggling to think about what that should be, we actually have a training that walks you through like how to think about the business and how to decide what's the one thing. And for you, for one person, it might be customer follow-up. And for another person, it literally might be, I've got a vendor event next week. I would love to crush it with this and get that vendor event done. So I'm going to go learn all the things to do a vendor event. So, what's the highest value item? And then go to the next. Once you get the first one done, do not try to like do follow-up and onboarding and gratitude messages and birthday messages and anniversary messages and vendor event setup. Like that will probably end in a fireball. I would not go that route. In terms of pricing, we have a couple options. Last week, actually, we rolled out a new pricing plan. We have a $5 plan. That plan doesn't come with any credits. That's called the pay-as-you-go plan. So with the pay-as-you-go plan, it's $5 and you buy credits when you need them. A credit just means a message. If I schedule a broadcast to 10 people, that's 10 credits. We don't charge for incoming messages, and we don't charge you credits when you're in one-on-one conversation with someone. We used to, and then we stopped because we saw everyone post in the Facebook groups that they were literally, people would say, hey, when you send out a blast, it's a pretty common term. When you send out a blast, when someone replies, do you text them that you're going to send them a message from your personal phone? And I'm like, what? Like, think about that as the customer. Like, how weird is that? Like, you get a text, hey, Jake, it's Sally, blah, blah, blah. And then I reply like, oh, hey, Sally. And then she says, I'm going to text you from my other phone. Like, that's weird. So we were seeing people ask that question in 30 plus Facebook groups. Literally, we support 30 plus different Facebook groups. That question was so common. Or people would say, hey, when you get a message from a customer and you want to respond with a heart, what do you do? And I'm like, you send the heart. Like, I know it sounds silly, but the heart is what builds the business. So we made the decision last year that chat, one-on-one conversation, we do not charge credits for, because you should not be thinking about sending a credit to send a heart emoji, because that's what builds the business. Like, send the dang heart emoji, please, please. So $5 plan comes with 0 credits, and then you buy them as you need them. Our next plan is the starter plan. That was our kind of entry-level plan until last week. That plan is $15 a month, and it comes with 500 credits. And if you don't use all those credits, they roll over. And they roll over indefinitely until you cancel, and then it doesn't matter because you canceled. And depending on how large your customer base is, how much you want to do prospecting, how big your team is, you can do kind of some napkin math to figure out what plan you should get. And plans go up to like, I think we have plans like at 100,000 credits. So there's a plan for anybody. And again, if you don't use your credits, they roll over. And if you're like, man, I want to try this, but I'm not really sure, that's what the pay-as-you-go plan's for. It's a good way to dip your toe in, buy a bundle of credits, and then play around with, sending messages to people. And then I would say do training. Quick Start gives you 100 credits just to do Quick Start. So you sign up, you do Quick Start. It takes you less than 30 minutes, and we pay you 100 credits for doing Quick Start. And all the other trainings that we have, not all of them, many of the trainings that we have, we pay you 10, 25, 50 credits, depending on the training, depending on how long it takes to do the training, really. But the training is pretty detailed. You have, in terms of support, so when you sign up, you start with 2 contacts: Project Broadcast Support and Project Broadcast Success. And they're 2 different groups internally. Support is like, something's broken, right? Something's broken, I need help. Success is, I really want to go crush this thing, like, and I need some help with strategy. Or I'm trying to build a landing page and I'm trying to think through how to do this. It's more strategy. You can message people right from the app, Support and Success. You can also email support@projectbroadcast.com and success@projectbroadcast.com. And then we also have our Facebook groups. We have a main Facebook group that anyone can ask questions in. They can't be company specific because we like that to be a safe place for everyone, but tons of ways to get support. Dawn and Joanna are part of our success team. Katie, you met Dawn. Dawn was with me at the Gold Digger conference. So Dawn's on our success team. If you message the success contact in your Project Broadcast account, it goes to Dawn and Joanna. Like, they were in the wild being paid by big leaders to help them strategize text marketing and marketing in general with Project Broadcast. And I looked at that and I loved that, people had the ability to do that. I think that's great. But I really wanted everyone to have access to a strategist like Dawn and Joanna, so I convinced them to come work for us full time. So their job description is the most vague in the company. It's to help customers be successful, which means a lot of different things. Now, they're not going to do your work, but when you need help, like really thinking about strategy and thinking about the business, they're great resources. But if you say, hey, Dawn, I need you to build me this landing page, no, that's not going to happen. But she can certainly help you understand if you need a landing page and how you should kind of weave it together and use it. But they're there to help you, and support's here to help you. We answer support tickets. I always mention this because it's important to me. I hate when I try to get support somewhere and it takes like a week to get a response back. Our kind of mandate internally as a company is that we resolve issues within one business day. And we respond. I think our current level is it has to be under 8 hours. You have to respond in, we're talking business hours, respond in under 8 hours. And we typically run our first response in about 50 minutes during normal business hours. So we're very responsive. We'll help you as much as we can. But it's really not that intimidating if you get in and think about the one thing. If you get in and want to do everything, then it will be a bit intimidating. So I'm going to look to see what questions I've missed because I've been rambling. But Katie, have I missed anything in chat that you've seen?
There's one that just came in. It was, if I represent more than one business, is there a way to use it for more than one?
I get asked this all the time. Yes, you can, but you should create 2 accounts. And I always tell this story because this really happened. I had a lady in direct sales who ran a bunch, and I don't remember the number, but it was like many daycare facilities. And she was using one Project Broadcast account for managing communication to all the parents and her direct sales business. And she inadvertently sent a direct sales message to all of the parents across all the daycares that she ran. And as you can imagine, not great. So I always tell people you can do it with one account, but I would never suggest that. Create 2 accounts. You'll just need 2 different emails, to create each account, and then run each business from each of those accounts. That way, for sure, there's no risk of you messaging the wrong group of people. Good question, though. I actually get that asked a lot. Is there a website or PDF to look at with pricing details? Yes. If you just go to never mind, somebody gave you the link, projectbroadcast.com, click pricing. Those are all the pricing options that are there. Now, there is a social plan. You'll see that too on the website. The social plan is free, but you don't get a phone number with that, which means you can't send or receive text messages. It's really, the social plan is geared for, hey, I'm a big Project Broadcast user and I want to use it to communicate with my team. And I want super high throughput, guaranteed delivery. And I'm going to use our new Spaces feature for doing collaboration. Then you would get team members to install the social plan so that they can participate in Project Broadcast and not have to be on a paid plan. But if you want to actually send text messages and stuff, the social plan doesn't do that.
Jake, when you do have the 2 plans, like if you have the multiple businesses, how do you have to purchase 2 separate credits, or is it all linked under one account, but then they're joined? How does that work?
They're effectively 2 completely different accounts. So you literally go through the sign up process twice. Okay. Now we do have a feature called account managers that you say I own 2 Project Broadcast accounts. You can go into one Project Broadcast account and add the other one as an account manager. And that lets you bounce between them real easily. And there's a training on account managers. It's used pretty heavily for people who do VA work, actually. Like they'll have one Project Broadcast account, but they manage 100 Project Broadcast accounts. They can easily pop into any of the 100. But I even like doing it if you're only managing, the 2 that you own. That way you're not always having to actually log in, log out, log in. You can bounce between the 2.
Okay, awesome. Abby, you have your hand up.
It's actually for Michelle's question up earlier, because I was wondering this too. She asked, can you do Project Broadcast all from a smartphone, or do you need a computer also for setup, import, and ongoing use? Like how does that work? Can you do both from
you
phone?
can do both. There's some features that don't there's actually some features not on mobile. For example, building landing pages, right? Doing that from a phone is, we don't even put the feature there because that would be impossible. But all of the other content, like creating keywords, campaigns, like templates, all that is on mobile. There's probably, I bet you we have 95% plus features on both web and mobile. There's no payment related features on mobile. So you can't sign up, upgrade, change your plan, buy credits. You can't do any of that for mobile. And it's we're super transparent about this. We don't allow that because if we did, we would have to adhere to Apple's payment and use their payment wall. And they charge 30% to do that. So Project Broadcast would be a lot more expensive if we allowed you to sign up, manage payment, buy credits, anything payment related. So all payment related activity is done on the web. And then just actual features, most of them are on the web and mobile. But what I see most people do is they'll use the web version for, like, say I want to work on my 222 customer follow-up, whatever. They'll use a computer for that, right? They're actually writing content, building content. Maybe they're using Canva to build graphics. They'll build that content and it'll be in their, in their campaign list. But they're using their phone a lot when they're on the go. That's how they do their back and forth conversation when they're in, kid pickup line or whatever. They're actually building the business on the go. But if they do any like heavy lifting content creation, you can do that on mobile, but most people will do it on their desktop. And we support both iOS and Android. There's a native application for both. And we're doing a redesign. So Katie, I don't know if I told you that, but we're fully redesigning the actual application. We're hoping we launch it by end of year, but I don't know if we'll see if we get there. But it's going to make Project Broadcast just even more usable. We've had the same design since we launched in 2017, but we've added a ton of features since then. And the current design is just not great for the way we want to show certain aspects of the platform. So the new design is really kind of moving things around to make it easier to get access to certain features, but I'm excited about it. And email is also coming. It's not going to end of year. Email's coming after the redesign. So you'll be able to do email from Project Broadcast. We already have texting, and we also do this thing called voicemail drops, where you can record a voicemail in Project Broadcast and send it to people. Not a voice memo, like not in your text, but as if you called them and left them a voicemail. So if you wanted to record a voicemail that says something like, "Hey, it's Jake, shot you a text yesterday. Let me know if you got it." Whatever, right? It's super generic, but it's my voice, so it's personal. You can do that in Project Broadcast and actually send that to 100 people. And it's as if you called the 100 people and left them a voicemail. They'll have a voicemail in their voicemail box. So it's good for driving people back to read their text, or it's also just useful for adding just that additional layer of personal touch to messaging that you're sending.
So it actually will show up as a actual voicemail in their mess, like not a text voice.
No. Yeah, like you called them and left them a voicemail.
Oh wow, that is awesome.
Yeah, it's one of the things we're improving how to get to. So that feature is a little weird. You have to go to templates and create a template. And there's a type of template you can create called a voice template. And that's what that is. You record your voice. And then when you're crafting a message in scheduled broadcast or campaigns or wherever, if you click the templates button, you can select that voice template and use that, and it'll send all of them a voicemail. That is a little bit more expensive per message. That one is 2 credits per message, where text messages are 1 credit per message. But it can be super useful depending on the use case. Like you can even use that for a follow-up from like the vendor event example. Maybe part of your follow-up kind of funnel campaign for post vendor event is you send them a text, but you also have a voicemail that thanks them for attending. You'd love to chat with them, curious about what their favorite thing they saw there was, whatever, right? It's generic, but it's your voice, so it comes across personal. What other questions do you guys have?
That's amazing. Regina says, did I miss this part? Is it a different phone number or same one you have that you text with?
Yeah, different phone number. So when you sign up, you pick a state or province, and then we give you a list of phone numbers in that state or province, and you pick it. And that becomes your Project Broadcast phone number. It's not shared with anyone. It's a real phone number. And when you send and receive text messages, they come from that phone number. And when you use Project Broadcast to make or receive a phone call, that's the phone number the customer sees. And you do that because you want intentional a business line. And you can't actually use your personal number because you'd have to do what's called port the number, which is no different. Like if I'm an AT&T customer and I were to go to Verizon and I wanted to keep the same number, they have to port it, to the other carrier. That's the same thing for us. So if you have an AT&T, phone and you're like, hey, I want to use this phone number, we can do it, but then it would no longer be an AT&T phone number. It would only be a Project Broadcast phone number. So you don't want to do that.
And like the message, if they respond, like it doesn't come through, mine doesn't anyway. And hopefully it's right. It doesn't come through as a text message response on my phone. I actually
Correct.
go into the app, the PB app, and it'll
Mhm.
show me the messages as someone says stop, or if someone responds, or if someone likes a recipe or something, or some sort of tidbit of knowledge I've sent them or something.
Yeah, you'll use the Project Broadcast website or mobile app. That's where you send and receive messages. The recipient just gets a text message. They have no idea you're using a tool like Project Broadcast. So if I go schedule, 100 messages out, or excuse me, a message to 100 people, each individual person gets a text from me from that Project Broadcast phone number. And when they reply, they'll now be in my chat, and it's just a one-on-one conversation with me and them. Even though I sent it to 100 people, it's not a group message. It just sends it individually to those 100 people so I can have an individual conversation with them if they reply. And they have no clue that I used the system, that I sent it to 100 people. They just get a text message from my phone number. So one of your first things you typically do, and I think we go through this actually in Quick Start, is one of your first messages is just an introductory message. It's hey, it's Jake. This is my new business number. Save it in your contacts. If you ever need anything, let me know. Like, it's something that basic, because you want to send that message to team and customer, have them store that phone number in their contacts so that they know it's you the next time you message them. And now you start using that number for driving the business. We have people that put their PB number on their business cards. They put it on, they'll have like what's the word, like a vinyl sign, I guess, on like their car, and they'll put their phone number as a part of that. We even have people who run ads, like they'll run actual traditional ads and they use their PB number. It's their business number. They use it as their business phone number. And you can even set up call forwarding so that, let's say Katie's Project Broadcast number, and I call Katie's Project Broadcast number because I'm her customer. She can configure Project Broadcast to forward calls from her Project Broadcast number to her personal cell. So I call her Project Broadcast number, her personal cell rings, and she answers the phone. I only see her Project Broadcast number because that's what I called, and we forwarded the call to her personal cell. So you can literally make and receive phone calls on that number, and the customer only ever sees the PB number.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. We do. Here's another one is, Elaine wants to know if you can port a number that we have to Project Broadcast.
Yeah, we port numbers all the time, but typically when you port a number, you're porting from another like marketing provider. Like if you use another tool like Project Broadcast, or maybe you have a Google Voice number that you really would like to use, that's typically numbers we would port in, and we literally do them every single day. But you don't want to port your actual phone number. That doesn't work. So Elaine, I don't know if you are using a different system or you're meaning like your own personal number.
So I don't. I have actually a very, very cool phone number that I've had for 25 years that we have not been using.
Oh, but you still own the number?
782 all zeros. Yeah. I live in Boston. To get a 617 area code is a big deal in Boston. And I do have it, and we still have it. And it would make sense for me to just plop it in as my business number. It's a number that's already associated with me. People know it's me. And if I could do that, I would. We're not using it for anything. It's just, we don't have the heart to get rid of it.
Is it with a carrier? Like, is it with like an AT&T, Verizon, or is it with like a?
It's with T-Mobile with no phone attached to it right now.
Oh, yeah, we should be able to port that. Now, because it's a major carrier, we sometimes you have to do what's called an LOA. It just means letter of authorization.
Yeah, I know.
We do them every day. So what we typically do is, like, let's say you want to use that phone number. you first go sign up for Project Broadcast, pick your state and pick a number, knowing that it's just a temporary number. And then you email us with whatever the temporary number is that you selected and what number you want to port in. And you got to give us like your name and address and whatever. And then we will start a port request. And then whatever they make us, whatever hoops they make us go jump through after that, we jump through, and that varies by where the port's coming from. But yeah, we do them every day.
All right. Thanks, Jake.
Yeah. And that probably is a hard number to get. I'm sure all zeros is not easy. Oh, you're
yeah. People offer us money for it all the time.
I can see it. All right. What other questions do you guys have?
We've got one here from Michelle that says, if we join, is there any plan for a learning kickoff call that we can join with Jake and set up and learn about the actual use, like a boot camp together?
Yeah. So this is my suggestion. My suggestion is do Quick Start first. Quick Start's going to teach you the bare, like basics, import contacts, broadcast hours, scheduling messages, chat, sending out your first broadcast. Like that's what Quick Start does. So do that first and then look at some of the training. But we do team trainings literally all the time. But, what I would ask is that go do some training first, and then we come to a team training and fill in the gaps, right? Because if we come to team training and we're just going through Quick Start, well, that's a waste of everybody's time. But if you go through Quick Start, look at the other trainings, and then we get on a call together, probably Dawn or Joanna would drive that call. And we fill the gaps in and figure out where there's gaps in understanding and try to help you, fill those in. But yeah, we do those frequently. Should we do Quick Start by XX date and then do team training? I'm good. Yeah. Yes, Michelle, that's what I think too. Yeah, do Quick Start. And there's other good trainings. Like if you want to know what dynamic fields are, I think I may have mentioned those. Dynamic fields are, you can insert them into a message and it replaces that dynamic field with like the contact's first name, or they're one of the 50 custom fields you've defined, right? So you can insert like days of week, you can insert all kinds of dynamic information. But if you're like, I have no idea what you just said, good. There's a training on dynamic fields. It'll probably take 10 minutes. And if you want to know what a trackable link is, a trackable link is kind of like a bit.ly URL, but they're Project Broadcast URLs. But the great thing about a trackable link is when you create one, and maybe you create a trackable link for your consultant URL, when you send it to people and they click it, we tell you who clicked it and when they clicked it. So you can actually get data on how people are engaging with your content. And you're like, that also sounds really cool. I have no idea how to do that. Guess what? There's a training for trackable links. And all this is at training.projectbroadcast.com. There's a ton of training there. So start there and then get with Dawn and Joanna. Katie, even if you wanted to get with Dawn and Joanna and schedule like a team power hour to kind of fill in the gaps, they'd happily do that.
That'd be a great idea. Depending on how many people want to jump on that would be amazing. And I've noticed too, like even just in the Project Broadcast text message, like I will get like little tidbits of knowledge, or like a, did you know this, or how about this, or check this out, or this is a new tool that we have for you guys. Like it's always coming through Messenger too, which is, or not Messenger, but through the Project Broadcast messages, which is great. So you always have these little like, I don't know, nuggets that you get to take away from and stuff like that. So
yeah, and we even do like this. We love surprise and delight. So there's like little Easter eggs all in the product. So like when you create your first contact, you're gonna get a message from us saying, "Oh my gosh, you created your first contact. Here's 10 credits. And by the way, here's a training to contacts." Or someone clicked one of your links for the first time, right? There's all these little events that you never know what they are, but there's these events that you can do that trigger the system to send you a message, give you a little bit of credits for doing something in the product, and then talk to you about a small training thing that you can go do to learn more about that feature. So we know that if you get training, you'll do well. But, sometimes people don't want to do training. So we try to nudge you here and nudge you there and give you credits to try to help with that. Oh, also don't forget. So Katie's put a link in here. This link that you use will actually give you 500 extra credits at sign up. So if you were to sign up on the starter plan, which is 500 credits, it'll give you 500 bonus credits for that first month. So you'll get basically 1,000 credits that continue to roll over. Now, who on the call is not a PB user? I probably should have asked that in the beginning. Who doesn't use Project Broadcast? You can just raise your hand. So, well, I guess there's people that I can't see them: Dana, Michelle, iPhone, Megan, and Dawn. I would say give it a shot. Use Katie's link. Michelle, do you have a question? Oh, Megan. Oh, they're raising their hand. Look at that. Awesome. So most people didn't have it. My big question is, I usually ask this and I didn't ask it, and I apologize. Usually I have people type, no, if they don't use Project Broadcast from the beginning. And then at the end of the call, I like to ask, like, who thinks they're going to go try Project Broadcast. So I'm curious if you didn't know what it was and weren't a user kind of when we got on the call, who's going to go give it a shot? Is that a hand raising? That's an iPhone hand raising. I had to look at that little emoji. Awesome. Well, just know you've got support. You guys know where training is, right? Training.projectbroadcast.com. Go through some of the training. Katie, feel free to reach out to Dawn and Joanna and try to schedule like a power hour. I would say, honestly, I would try to schedule something early November so that you can get everyone like in a call together, get some training in well before holiday season, because your first message better not be, here's Black Friday stuff. I'm telling you, you are going to remember that Valpak example. Don't be a Valpak. It should be like I'm going to get a shirt that says hashtag don't be a Valpak. So what you want to figure out early November is, how do I engage with my customers? How do I engage with my team? How do I drive value so that you can build up some equity so that when Black Friday does come along, you've actually started a relationship through that phone number and you can communicate about a sale or a promo that's surely going to happen through Black Friday. But don't let that be your first message. I've seen this. I've seen people get Project Broadcast, upload literally 10,000 people, and immediately send a message that says, hey, if you want to know about all the sales and promos, reply back promo. And I'm like, they don't even know who you are. Like, you just got this phone number 5 minutes ago and they just got a random text from someone. Like, don't do that.
Oh my God, that's well, so, and what I'll do too is because I don't know why I couldn't stream this, and I don't know if it's because I'm recording, but I don't know, but I'll get this recording over to the other main groups as well. And also put the link in there as well and share with them, what is it? They get extra 500 credits.
Yep. They'll get 500 credits using that link.
Okay. So I'll mention that as well in there, and hopefully they'll push it out and people will watch it over on the other pages as well. And then I'll reach out to Dawn and just kind of see if we can set something up, because I think that it's fabulous. And I had no idea the amount of stuff.
Yeah, usually people who are even already Project Broadcast users, we have this call, and at the end of the call, they're like, man, I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
There's so much I could be doing that I didn't think about, but that's good. I think we always tell people Project Broadcast second. So sit and think about the business, think about opportunity lists, meaning low friction ways to reach out to people, how to drive value, and then use Project Broadcast to implement those ideas. But, there are, I really believe, an infinite number of ways to add value to people where asking them to buy something is only one of those things. So, think about how you're doing product education and reminders and gratitude messages, right? Birthday, anniversary, team builder mining. Like, there's so many ways to use Project Broadcast that, when you think about it, like any product, so let's say it's $15, Project Broadcast is $15. Any product you look at, it has to do one of two things. It has to either save you $15 in time, or it has to make you $15 in money because you just paid $15. And if it doesn't do at least one of those things, you should not be paying for it, period. So when you look at Project Broadcast, if you only used it for, pick one of those things, customer follow-up, or if you're into vendor events, if it only did your vendor events and made that process much more streamlined, it would easily save you $15. Right.
So Jake, just a quick question. So I'm understanding it correctly. The 500 credits. So it's like, if I had 500 people in there, I could send one message to those 500 people.
Yes. If you wanted to do a blast to 500 people, that would be 500 credits.
Okay. That's exactly what I need to know. Thank you.
And then once you're in that one-on-one conversation, we don't charge credits there. And when they reply, that's called an incoming message. We don't charge for credits for that either. That's where I'm saying you want to do some, some napkin math of, well, this is my contacts and how much I want to prospect, how many messages a month I want to send to each of those people. Here's how I group my people. Like, spend 5 minutes and figure that out, and that'll help you figure out what plan to pick.
Well, and Lillian has a question here is, what's the average credit usage for an active user? And I guess that could be,
That's a loaded question.
but yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you that well over half of our users are on the starter plan. Now, again, we have plans that run $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month, but the number of people that need to send that volume of messaging is really low. For most people, our business plan or lower is plenty of credits for the average builder.
So if we are importing from our back offices, which we all have, we'd have to go in. Is there a way to go in once it's imported and clean it up? Because our back office, if somebody has, the first time they ordered from us, they were Elaine McCauley Meehan. The second time they ordered from us, they were Elaine M. Meehan. And the third time they ordered from me, they were Elaine McCauley. They're all the same person, but it looks like 3 different names. So is there a way to go in and clean up the import?
Yeah, you can. There's a couple of ways to do that. You could either clean it up before you import it. That's obviously one way, but I probably wouldn't take that approach, because that means anytime you import it, you have to re-clean it. So what I would probably do is import the full list. And then for like the example you just gave, those 3 people that are really one person, I would use a feature in Project Broadcast called archiving, and you could archive the 2 that aren't the right person. And that means anytime you import, when it hits that phone number, it'll say, oh, that person's archived, I'm not going to import them. Because in Project Broadcast, the phone number is the unique field for every contact.
That's fantastic, actually. That's something that is not the unique contact sometimes for other companies. That's awesome.
Yeah, for us, phone number is unique. When we roll out email, it may change slightly, because it's possible someone wants to use PB only for email, which means they may not have any phone number. So we may tweak that a little bit, but today, phone number is the unique field. Let's say you imported 1,000 people today. Next month, you come and import the exact same 1,000 people, but maybe stuff has changed, names, addresses, whatever. It actually won't create duplicates. It will update the contact that's already in the system with the same phone number. And if there's a record in your file that isn't in Project Broadcast, it will create that record for you in Project Broadcast. And you can tag as a part of importing. You can, again, we have 50 custom fields. So if there's certain fields in your back office, you're like, man, I really want this in Project Broadcast. And maybe it's the whatever state. I'll just use something simple. You have 50 custom fields that you can define in the settings area. So you can define custom 1 as state. And then when you import, you can use that custom 1 dropdown to map to your state field and import that. And you can do that up to 50 different fields. So it really lets you kind of build your contact the way you want to in terms of the data that's important to you. Like some people want things like, their member number. Like I know a real common thing is people are like, they'll craft a message to customers and customers never remember their customer ID and they need it for some reason. So they'll import the customer ID as one of those custom fields, and then you can use that custom field as a dynamic field in a message. So I could craft one message to 100 people, and in that message say, hey, first name, don't forget your customer ID is custom field 7, and blah, 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 blah. And then when it sends those 100 messages, each person will get, hey, Sally, and there's her customer ID. Hey, Jill, whatever, here's your customer ID. So you can kind of get pretty creative in like what you import from the back office in terms of what's important for you in the business. And it's flexible.
So awesome. I love what you guys have created. And I feel like I'm doing nothing now. Thank you, Jake.
That just means you have a lot of cool stuff to go work on. That's all.
Yes, like a lot. This is amazing. I love the capacity of this and I can't wait to see the new rollout and all of the things. It's wow, it's going to be awesome. So very, very
And you're
cool.
not going to go do all of them at the same time, right, Katie? You're
No,
gonna pick okay.
little bits at a time, little bits at a
exactly.
time. Well, you guys, I want to be respectful of everybody's time and Jake's time. I mean, he spent a good amount of time with us sharing all of this amazing stuff. Is there any last minute questions before we let him go hang out with his family for the night?
Oh, I thought it was a question. It was a thank you. Okay.
No. Well, that is it, you guys. Thank you so much, Jake. I mean, this has just been more than I could have ever expected, and I cannot wait for the rest of everybody to get this recording in their hands. I feel so bad for not being able to stream it, but I'll figure that out again, one more thing at a
No
time. 'Cause
worries.
it worked last night, so it just doesn't make sense, obviously. So
Take
yeah,
technology.
but you know, that's okay. We got you all to ourselves tonight, which was cool. So thank you guys. And you guys, if you need the link, just let me know. I did put it in there. If anybody needs it again, it's right there. It is again. Share with your teams. And I'll have the recording as well. And I'll post all of this into the main group as well. And if you have any questions at all that, you know, that we need Jake to answer maybe, or questions on signing up, I'm sure there's a way that they can reach out through Project Broadcast to get that answered, correct?
Yep, you got the Project Broadcast Facebook group. And then again, if you sign up, you'll have 2 contacts. Literally, as soon as you log in, you'll have a support contact and a success contact that you can message.
Perfect.
And don't forget training.
Yes, the training, the quick start and all the other, there's a ton of training, which is awesome.
Do the training.
So, I love it. Well, thank you so much. Thank you guys for popping on and spending your evening with us. Thank you, Jake, for taking time away from your family. We appreciate you so very much. And it was a pleasure to have you on. And that's it, you guys. We will talk to you guys all soon. All right.
Thanks, guys.
Bye,
ya.
guys. Thank you.